Like, comment, and subscribe. So we're back with a new set of chapters from the web novel Marry My Husband. The last video, peak for now, some of the best chapters. We got redemption for Jiwon, redemption for Ji-hyuk. We got Sumin, Minwon, and Yora all looking like idiots, as they should. And we have a kiss between Ji-hyuk and Jiwon, which was adorable. And we have confirmation that they're dating. That's it in a quick nutshell of the last 5 chapters. But I'm going to get started on chapter 86 called Yora O's Way of Thinking. We know her way of thinking. It's not quite right. UNK Group's third generation chaebol suddenly holds a dramatic Hollywood-esque press conference. The article correcting what really happened was in a tiny corner of the news section online. Jiwon scrolled down to see it and grumbled, "The article's so small. The scandal made headlines even though it was during the weekend." Jael Group probably interfered since it's related to that household's only daughter, Ji-hyuk replied, as he adeptly stacked sliced vegetables and mushrooms into a pot. They were ingredients for the beef and mushroom Korean-style hot pot that Jiwon said she wanted to eat. "Now that I look at it, there isn't anything about the fiancé," Jiwon said. In fact, Jalil Group's only daughter wasn't even mentioned in the article. The word engagement briefly appeared in the sentence. Mr. Yu emphasized that he was never engaged, and that was it. The fiancé section was vaguely skipped over, but anything related to Yu was published without censoring. Is UNK not helping you? My grandfather is a transparent person. Ah, Jiwon nodded, recalling the picture of Chairman Hanul Yu she saw on the internet. He didn't seem like someone who would control the press through money and authority. If his personality was similar to Ji-hyuk's as much as his appearance was, she was 100% certain of it. "You don't have to worry about that anymore. The mushrooms will be cooked soon. Come and eat. Well, come and sit." The pot in the middle of the island table bubbled as it emanated a delicious aroma. Jiwon rubbed her stomach, which was empty except for a glass of juice she'd had. She felt like she could chew the handles of the pot right now. "Where are the utensils? I'll set them on the table," she said. "You just sit." "Should I take out the side dishes? What about water?" "If you really want to help." Ji-hyuk pulled out a chair. "Sit here. You sitting still is helping me." "I'm good at household chores, though." Ji-hyuk frowned as he was displeased by her statement. Jiwon felt guilty, even though she didn't do anything wrong, so she obediently sat in the chair, smelling the hot pot. "Oh, it smells so good." Ji-hyuk subtly narrowed his eyes quickly. Quickly turned up in a smile. "I hope it's to your taste. Do you eat leaf mustard kimchi? Do you have some?" Ji-hyuk plated some sliced leaf mustard kimchi on a plate and put it in front of her. Leaf mustard kimchi was fantastic, but it was a food that didn't seem to suit Ji-hyuk's refrigerator. "Where did you get this? I don't remember seeing it last time." "It's the new product that recently came out." "You also take home new products when they're released?" "I tried it and brought some home because I thought you'd like it." Did he expect me to eat at his house? Jiwon quickly covered the corners of her twitching mouth. As a result, she unintentionally created a cute pose with her chin resting in her hands. Ji-hyuk froze when he saw her like that. "Why are you in that position?" Jiwon hastily rested her hands on her knees. She became a little less cute. "Thank you for the meal, Mr. Yu." "Miss Kang?" Ji-hyuk said. His tone was serious as he sat across from her and lifted his spoon. "Yes?" Can I request something of you? As a superior to a subordinate? Or between lovers? Ji Hyuk's ears were instantly stained pink. As lovers, of course. Ji Hyuk's nose slightly became red when he said lovers. She lifted her chin haughtily to hide how she felt. What is it? However, her bashfulness was noticeable because of her stutter. Fortunately, Ji Hyuk pretended not to heed it while his ears turned redder than before. Can you call me something other than Mr. Yu? Something else? What are things you call your boyfriend again? Ji-won thought for a moment, then she murmured quietly, Honey? Clank. The spoon in Ji Hyuk's hand fell to the marble floor. Ji-won's shoulders flinched. You don't like it? No, I do, Ji Hyuk stuttered. Then he gulped down some cold water. His mouth was dry and his veins were pulsing. If Ji-won said the word again, his heart would most definitely explode. Let's do something else. Something else. Ji-won glared at the hot pot, whose presence was fading, and spoke carefully again. Then, Oppa? The two syllables rang in Ji Hyuk's ears like church bells. Oppa. Oppa. Who knew the Oppa that Hugh Yeon shouted at him every day would be so detrimental to his blood pressure? Ji Hyuk pressed his heart, which was on the verge of exploding, to calm it down. Perhaps simply my name would be best. Ji Hyuk Yu? Without the last name. Ji Hyuk? Good. This was still quite detrimental, but it was better than honey or Oppa. Dig in. It's all cooked. Ji Hyuk took a big helping of the delicious cooked hot pot and filled Ji-won's bowl. Thanks, Ji Hyuk. Ji-won smiled and ate a spoonful. Ji Hyuk watched on worriedly, thinking it might not be to her tastes. Ji-won picked up the thinly sliced beef and vegetables with her chopsticks. Then her eyes widened. It's so good. How are you so good at cooking? Because I practice feeding you. Ji Hyuk just grinned when his gaze suddenly fixated on her hand. It was pretty. Beneath the overhead light, he could see the veins under her smooth skin. Her unmanicured nails were pink and cut short. The movement of the chopsticks with her long and slender fingers looked elegant. Ji Hyuk also tried some of the soup. It was indeed delicious. It wasn't too bad to feed Ji-won. I'm good at making other foods too. Ji-won looked blankly at Ji Hyuk from where she was busy chewing meat. I see. I'm good at cooking and cleaning up. I'll do all the cleaning and dishwashing. I won't be satisfied by other people doing it. Ah, that must be why your house is so clean. So all you have to do is stay still. After you're done, you can put your utensils down and play with Pang. Don't ever do anything that'll roughen your hands. Ji-won looked at her left hand, which wasn't holding anything. It was unfamiliar, soft and smooth. The flesh wasn't dry and wrinkly like an elderly woman's hand, as it had been when she was in her late 30s. She didn't have eczema that lingered on her skin like cancer cells either. Her husband had never lovingly taken her hand, so she didn't know her hand was pretty. She had suffered through life not knowing her pretty hand was becoming rough and coarse. Should I do that? Ji-won muttered. Then she pointed at the edge of the table with her finger. Why don't you answer that first? Oh, Ji Hyuk's phone was buzzing. He checked the caller and turned slightly nervous as he answered. Yes, grandfather. Grandfather? Ji-won's ears pricked up. Fine. Today? No, it's okay. Yes, sir. I'll take Hugh Yeon. The conversation was too short and businesslike to be one between a grandfather and grandson, and it just ended. Ji Hyuk shut his phone and raised his spoon again. What is it? Ji-won asked. Ji Hyuk's expression was noticeably tense. He wants me to visit home. Uh-oh. I hope the grandpa is like Well, let me stop comparing. I like the grandpa from the webtoon the most out of all the ones so far. You bought off all the employees and snuck into Korea? Are you in your right mind? On top of that, you followed Ji Hyuk Yu around and caused a mess? Hyung Tae Oh uh, paused for breath after shouting. Yura didn't show any sign of reflecting on her actions, even after being dragged here and rebuked. You're saying I caused a mess? That little 9 to 5er messed everything up, Yura shot back. If it weren't for that bitch, I wouldn't have come to Korea. You still haven't come to reality. Stop it, honey. Nan Suk Yoon flung the door open and wrapped her arms around Yura. Yura stood there, unflinching, but she burst into tears the moment she saw her mom. Mom, I'm so upset. Ji Hyuk Oppa is my fiance. You said I'm going to marry Ji Hyuk Oppa. My poor daughter, don't cry. I'll take care of it, no matter what. Take care of it, my ass. Hong Tae stomped his foot. The secretary... Sorry. The secretary had been tiptoeing into the room carefully when he jumped at the sudden sound. He bowed in embarrassment. I have an urgent report, sir. Can't you see I'm in the middle of teaching my daughter a lesson? I apologize. It's a call from Chairman Yu. The time had come. Hyung Tae scratched the back of his throbbing head, frustrated. What did he say? He said to run over immediately with Miss Yura. A deep sigh escaped him. Nansuk clutched Yura tighter, as if someone was going to kidnap her. Yura just felt annoyed and irritated by the situation. Are you stupid? Just say we can't go, Yura said. Yura, oh! Hyung Tae glowered at his daughter. Stop with the nonsense and follow me, now. If you don't, just know I'm going to disown you. Oof. Hyung Tae had a fiery temperament, but he really did what he said he was going to do. Knowing this, Yura had no choice but to follow him out. She huffed the entire time she was being dragged to the guillotine. Nansuk repeated to herself, oh no, as she followed them to the house next door. Hanul Yu's house was simple, considering it was the house of the chairman of the company that ruled over Korean and foreign food products. The exterior of the house was red bricks that were 30 years out of fashion, and the only decorations on the ground were a large jujube tree and a vegetable garden. Hyung Tae looked at the familiar estate beyond the tightly shut iron doors. It hadn't changed in the past few decades, other than growing a jujube tree. The door opened before they pressed the doorbell. Hyung Tae grabbed the back of Yora's collar as he took her into the house because she'd probably escape the next chance she got. Chairman Yu was waiting for his visitors on a vintage sofa in the living room. Long time no see, sir. Hyung Tae bowed respectfully at a full 90 degrees, and Nansuk followed suit. Only after Yura begrudgingly imitated them did the chairman wave for them to sit. I'm sure you know why I called you over, Hanul said. He slowly tapped the armrest with his nail. I apologize. I couldn't apologize enough if I had 10 mouths, Hong Tae said. Didn't you say that last time too? Hong Tae didn't have a response. The man who couldn't apologize properly, even if he had 10 mouths bowed. Hanul's knife-like gaze moved past him to Yura. Yura, what about you? Nansuk covertly poked her daughter in the side with her elbow. She was telling her to apologize immediately without saying any nonsense. I'm sorry. You also said that last time. Are you even aware of what you're apologizing for? Yura bit her lip, still looking down. Her expression clearly gave away how wrong she felt. Yura, answer the chairman's question, Hyung Tae scolded in a small but firm voice. Nansuk poked Yura's rib again, urging her to respond. I'm apologizing for... Yura slowly raised her head and looked Hanul in the eye. I don't know. Yura, oh! Yura! Hongtae and Nansuk paled simultaneously. A few more thick wrinkles appeared before Hanel's eyebrows. Are you unaware of what you did wrong, or do you think you didn't do anything wrong? I didn't do anything wrong. You're a shut your mouth, Hongtae said. Sir, I'm sorry. I'll go home and educate her right away. Educate me? Yura shrieked at her father. Do you think I'm still in high school? I rotted for 9 years in that prison you made for me in the States. I'm sick of being educated. I'm going to do what I want to do with my life, so leave me alone. Stop it, Yura. Let her be, Nansuk. Ooh, Hanel said, restraining Nansuk from stopping Yura. Go on. Why do you feel so wronged? Fine, I'll tell you. You think I won't be able to say it? Yura avoided her mom's poking elbow and stood up. I didn't even get to graduate middle school in Korea, all because of that insignificant girl whose farm laboring mother lucked out with the second wife position. Does that make sense to you? Hanel stopped his slow tapping on the armrest. Seeing that, Hongtae turned white as a sheet. Can't say I'm shocked. That's the end of the chapter, BTW. Can't say I'm shocked. She is incredulous. And has no sense. She's no shame. None at all. She just expects everybody to bow down to her. And it looks like her mom makes it worse. Let's see. Some of the top comments. I see that Minwon has a type. What? Who, me? I didn't do anything wrong. True. I want Yura to keep talking so that grave she's digging becomes so deep, even the big guy upstairs can't help her out of it. But if this somehow still leads to her getting her way, hands will be thrown. Yeah. Ji-hyuk when Ji-won called him a babe, intense anime nosebleed activated. Oh, Yura, you just buried yourself. Never insult the wife. I mean, it's not his wife. It's his son's wife. But she fucked up. She fucked up. And I cannot wait. I'll be back with chapter 87, which is called, But My Grandfather is JLO. So sounds like we're getting some more Yura perspective. But if you like the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll be right back. Bye. All right, and we're back with chapter 87. But my grandfather is JLO, as Yura likes to throw around. From a young age, Yura liked the grandson of the chairman next door. She liked how serious he was compared to all the other immature boys his age. She liked the voice that calmly greeted her when she visited and the tall height that required her to look up. In her eyes, Ji-hyuk was the definition of nobility. Mom, Ji-hyuk Oppa and I are going to get married, right? When she asked this question, lying in bed before going to sleep, her mom smiled and stroked her hair. Ji-hyuk's mom and I made a promise to each other, so do your best in whatever you do and grow up prettily to become a bride that suits Ji-hyuk, okay? Okay, I'm going to be his bride, no matter what. Marrying Ji-hyuk when they grew up, this dream was a certain future for her. Yura was happy every day. If it weren't for that girl, she might have continued to be happy. She went over to visit Ji-hyuk's house just like any other day, but there was a girl already there. The thin and unattractive girl looked around with strange sparkling eyes when she beamed widely at Yura. Hi! She wanted to ignore the greeting, but she was forced to wave hello when her mom urged her to. Hi. I'm Hugyeon. Who are you? Yura O. When she returned home, Yora asked her mom about Hugyeon. Her mom said the girl was Ji-hyuk's new younger sister. It was a bolt from the blue. I'm going to be family with that girl if I get married to Oppa, Yura asked. I don't want to. She's dirty and ugly. Shh, you can't say things like that. Why did such a dirty kid come to Oppa's house anyway? They can't chase her out. Her mom sighed and began to explain that Hugh Yeon was a child born out of wedlock. It was before Ji Hyuk's father passed away, and the chairman brought her in when he found her recently. Then who's her mom? A woman who used to work at UNK Food. I don't know too much either. Her mom encouraged her to be friendly. Get along with Hugh Yeon, okay? You're neighbors now. She really didn't want to, but she pouted and nodded. And she did get along with her for 9 years from elementary school to middle school. That is, until Hugh Yeon walked into the Hangang River. The instant Nansuk heard Hugh Yeon attempted suicide, she dragged Yura out and sent her to the States. She didn't even have time to pack her things. Sorry. She was sent on the fastest plane out with a passport and a credit card. Mr. Cho had accompanied her to rent a house and set everything up. Then he returned. In other words, when Hugh Yeon woke up and the chairman learned of what happened, Yura was already partying in the States. At the time, Chairman Yu gave Hongtae a single order, not to let Yura back into Korea for the next 10 years. My, you know all the details. Yura's cheek twitched at the chairman's words. You thought I wouldn't know because I was young, didn't you? Her mom was so shameless, too. She should have continued to do manual labor and make tofu. She brazenly pretended to be a daughter-in-law of this household like she was from a royal family since giving birth. No, Hugh Yeon is the more brazen one. Hongtae regretted calling Yura home instead of sending her back to the States. However, the water was already spilled. Hugh Yeon should have corrected other kids when they adored her just because she's the granddaughter of UNK's chairman. Yura continued, I'm only half-blood. It's just my dad who's the son of that household. I'm an orphan whose mom came from doing who knows what. If she said that, I wouldn't have punished her. I would have taken pity on her and kindly taken her in since she's still half related to Ji-hyuk Oppa. Huh, who knows if she really is even related. Yura snorted so loudly, it was a wonder she didn't sneeze. You're unfair too, sir. You cherished me in the past, but after that wench came in, you didn't pay any attention to me at all. I grumbled a bit to Ji-hyuk Oppa because I was upset, and do you know what he said? That it was only natural. You're blood related. He said not to speak of Hugh Yeon like that because she's his younger sister. I was so dumbfounded. Yura seemed like she was the one who'd come to do the scolding, not the one receiving it. It was expected that she'd have this attitude, though. She didn't believe she'd done anything wrong. I see how you think, Hanul said, breaking his silence. You must think UNK and Jalil are royalty. Is that why you almost killed Hugh Yeon and harassed the lady that Ji-hyuk likes? I almost killed her? She walked into the river on her own 2 feet, so don't act as though I pushed her in, Yura snapped. Same goes for that employee Oppa is head over heels for. Did I hit her or curse her to her face? I'm the one who's suffering because of that employee, so why are you telling me off? Hongtae and Nansuk couldn't even breathe. Only Yura, the one who was dragged here, acted all triumphant, as if she were the victor. Hanul just looked at her wordlessly and moved his gaze to the couple. Nansuk. Yes, sir? Nansuk stood up with her hands held together, her back hunched. Hongtae. Yes, sir? Hongtae stood up, bowing deeper than his wife. What a spectacularly horrific job you did raising your child. Hongtae and Nansuk looked at each other at the same time. Then they both got on their knees in front of the sofa. Mom, Dad, what are you doing? Yura shrieked. Get on your knees too. Hongtae's voice was louder than Yura's. I'm sorry, sir. We must have spoiled her because she's our only daughter. I'm very sorry. You two should apologize to Yura, not me, Hanol said. You should have raised her well, especially since she's your only child. What did you do to make her like this? Hanol pointed at Yura with his finger and reprimanded Nansuk. Nansuk, you raised your daughter like a princess by letting her eat whatever she wants. You let her do anything she wants just because you had difficulty conceiving her, didn't you? How can you ruin your precious daughter when you're a mother? Are you in your right mind? How can you raise your daughter like that and so you're going to marry her into my family? In our household, people are more important than money. We won't take her as an employee, let alone as a daughter-in-law. If Ji-hyuk's mother was alive, she would have taken back her words. She would never take Yura as a daughter-in-law. It was Yura's first time seeing her parents kneel in front of someone and get scolded. Her clenched fists trembled from shock and fury. However, no one paid her any attention. And Hong-tae, you're more at fault here. This time, Hanol rebuked Hong-tae. You pushed your daughter aside because of your business, didn't you? It's obvious you should have sacrificed your sleep to take care of your family since you're the head of the household. I'm truly sorry. I was just so busy that bullshit, he said, cutting him off. Don't bring up that business talk in front of me. I made an entire corporation out of weeds. Hong-tae's forehead shone with sweat after being further berated after answering a question he shouldn't have. It's only natural your wife indulges your daughter. It's because you don't pay attention to your family. You have so much money it's rotting. You look down on your wife and you shout at your daughter when you see her. Do you think you did your duty since you earned money? And is that money your money? Your parents spilled blood and sweat to create the company. They handed it over to you after teaching you everything, but you're about to ruin it all. How can someone who can't even take care of a household of 3 be responsible for thousands of employees, the employees of your clients, and even their families? Even the cat that comes by my house steals meat to feed its kittens. You're worse than a cat. What are you even good for? Damn. Damn. I can't go off, King. Hong-tae's head hung lower and lower as he listened. He looked like a state criminal who'd been brought in front of a king. Mom, Dad, Yura's face was red. Was so red, it looked like it was on the verge of exploding. She bent over to grab Hong-tae's arm. Let's go home. I don't need to marry Ji-hyuk Oppa. Why would you get on your knees in front of an old guy like this? Did you commit a sin? Are you in debt or something? Yura, shut your mouth, Hong-tae shouted as he slapped her face. Yura, you stay too. Nansuk was instinctively running to Yura when she stopped at Hong-tae's command. Hong-tae gripped the hand that had slapped his daughter's face with his other hand. Yura, it's just not us who are in debt to the chairman. He said, you're also in debt. Your grandmother is in debt and so is your grandfather. Everyone at Jalil Group is getting by thanks to him. It was Yura's first time hearing of this. Surprise filled her eyes, which were covered by blue-colored contacts. Ew, she's wearing colored contacts. Girl, okay. What are you talking about? Why is grandfather in debt to this old man? Yura's grandfather was Jalil O. He was Jalil Group's founder, first chairman, and Yura's pride. Because he was a laborer who didn't have any money or skills, her father said. It was something that had taken place decades ago. As the son of a wealthy rural farmer, Hanel got to study abroad, which was rare in those days. When his parents passed away, his home began to spiral downward. He spent all his wealth and even took out loans to create a farm. The majority of those who worked there were vagrants, homeless people, single women and men, and orphans. Hanel built houses for them on the farm, and they were able to live at them at no costs. They were also able to send their children to school for free. The farm grew bigger and bigger. Hanel also bought all the nearby land and made a company that sold processed goods from the farm. It was the birth of UNK. Hanel chose a few hardworking and virtuous people out of the employees who'd worked for him for the longest and sent them to study abroad with his own money. He hoped they would help to grow UNK with him after experiencing a bigger world or start a new business and become independent on their own. Jalil O was the employee the chairman was most fond of. When I couldn't even walk, your grandfather and grandmother were kicked out of their shanty. Our entire family was wrapped up in blankets, almost freezing to death, and it was the chairman who saved us. He gave work to your grandfather and sent me to school and to study abroad, gave your grandfather capital to start a business, and helped us every time the business was tough. Hong Tae continued, "It's all thanks to him that Jalil Group is what it is today. What's more, he even built us the house that you were born and raised in." Everything Hong Tae was saying was news to Yora. So that had also been the chairman's instinct. Oh, that had also been the chairman's intent. He wanted to keep the past in the past so the children of the new generation could respect the elders of the house for who they were. "My grandfather?" Yura muttered with a pale face. "My grandfather was a beggar?" Until now, Yura's world had been based solely on rank. In her world, laborers were at the bottom. Homeless people or vagrants were like cockroaches who crawled on the ground beneath them. "Those revolting things? It's because they're lazy. Those useless insects need to be gathered up and sent away." This was what Yura would say with a disgusted expression whenever she saw the lives of these insects on television. "That's impossible. My grandfather is Jalil O. You're all being tricked by that old man's words, you liar." Yura shrieked, denying the reality. The only person she respected in the world, the founder of Jalil Group, the man who was like nobility, he was an insect? It couldn't be true. "I heard he became Jalil O because he was abandoned in front of the Jalil market on the 5th of May. Jalil always laughed about how he was really good. It was really going to become the best someday," Hanel said bittersweetly. He continued, "I liked Ji-hyuk's mom a lot, not because she was my daughter-in-law, but she was beautiful inside and out. I thought she might be bored at home with just Ji-hyuk, so I asked Jalil to send his daughter-in-law over, and they got along well together. Yura, I cherished you because you're Jalil's granddaughter and your mother's daughter. So even if you were a little rude when you were younger, I left it alone because I thought you'd be educated at home. I also left you alone 9 years ago because I thought there would be a misunderstanding." Yura looked at her mom as if searching for an answer. Nansuk nodded silently. Everything that Yura was hearing was the truth. You said Hugh Yeon's a half because her mom used to work on a farm, didn't you?" "Then you're not even that." The word struck Yura's head like iron. Her world came crumbling down with her mighty pride. She stepped back as she shook her head vehemently. "No, I said that's not true. No." "Take her, Hong Tae," Hanel said firmly. "I considered you like a son until now, but the relationship between the U's and the O's is over now. You don't need to come during the holidays. Don't send presents. Don't ask how I'm doing. If you think about what your daughter did to my grandchildren, you won't feel so wronged." Oof. And that's the end of chapter 87. That chapter was so good. Oh, the way Hanol chewed them up without raising his voice, just spitting facts, is becoming of a CEO. And he seems like an actual nice, human, compassionate, sympathetic CEO, which we need in these times. But Unfortunately, that's not how it seems to be going. But anyways, Yura finding out that she's basically from a line of laborers is hilarious when she walks around acting like she's better than everybody because she thought her family was all was so fantastic. But let's see what some of the comments are. Sorry, my throat's bothering me. Beautiful Yura O built her entire persona on a belief that she was royal, and that was shattered in an instant. I was wondering how the author would handle it and was not disappointed. That was so cool. I know that Manwall had to leave out the Yura O arc due to space constraints, but damn, this is an interesting storyline. It is. It's really good. Okay. Now that I think about it, this reminds me of the time Suman tried to insult Hugyeon because her grandpa owned a side dish business. If only that bitch knew who that grandpa was and how badass he is. Chairman Yu is the OG, original grandfather. Feel sorry for Grandpa Yu's friend, an orphan, penniless, and worked hard. Yura O has shamed his memory. She really did. He's probably spinning in his grave right now. Her parents really should have. They spoiled her way, way too much. She didn't even learn anything about what she did to Hugyeon. They said she was partying in the States before she even woke up. Maybe she'll eventually learn her lesson, but I don't know. I don't think she will. That's the end of chapter 87. Let me know what you think. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll be back with chapter 89. I'm the crazy bitch around here. That line is fantastic and makes me think of Blair Wardle. Oh my God. Blair Waldorf in Gossip Girl when she got Georgina arrested. RIH, Michelle Trachtenberg. But thanks for listening. Bye. And we're back with chapter 88. I'm the crazy bitch around here. Sir, Hongtae's face turned pale as he started begging. Forgive me. This is all my fault. I will repent from now on. I'll teach Yura a stern lesson. So please. Sorry, I'm laughing at myself. Don't say you'll cut ties with us. Please, sir. Chairman Hanil Yu was a generous man who took employees under his wing, fed them, sent them to study abroad, and provided the necessary funds when they wanted to go independent. He did everything in his power for his people, but they crossed a certain line. He can cut them off with no hesitation. Hongtae knew all too well about this side of Chairman Yu and felt extremely anxious. He knew if he'd left his house like this, he wouldn't even be invited to Chairman Yu's funeral. Ever since my father passed away, I've looked up to you like a father, sir. Please think of him and give me one more chance. I will not disappoint you again. No matter how much Hongtae begged, Chairman Yu would not budge. He tried to persuade him with similar pleas, but ended up with tears in his eyes. At that moment, Grandfather! Hugyeon quietly showed up and bowed to Chairman Yu. Ji-hyuk came in after her and greeted him with the same way. Sorry we're late, Grandfather. Yura's intense gaze focused on Hugyeon. She would have normally put a smile on her face as she pretended to be friendly with Hugyeon, but Yura did not approach her this time. She had a murderous look on her crumpled face. It's been a while, Hugyeon. Oh my gosh, Yura! Hugyeon, who was pretending like she hadn't noticed Yura, started making a fuss. Yura gritted her teeth when she realized Hugyeon was impersonating her. How have you been? I almost didn't recognize you, Hugyeon said. You seem different since you left for the States. Like that show. Which one was it? The one where there's a bunch of girls like you? Hugyeon put her finger to her temple like a psychic, trying to gather energy, then clapped her hands. Oh, right! Gossip Girl. That's what you remind me of. Hugyeon beamed brightly and approached Yura to whisper in her ear. I'm the crazy bitch around here, Yura. Just like Blair Wardner. Okay. Yora was too battered from what happened earlier to restrain herself from Hugh Yeon's insults. How dare you, you little! Yora's trembling hand flew across the air, aiming for Yora's cheek. Yora, oh! Hong Tae cried out, but Yura could not lay a finger on Hugh Yeon. Don't you dare touch my sister. Ji Hyuk growled in a low voice while squeezing Yura's wrist tightly. Yura tried to pull her arm free, but it only made it painful for her. How is she your sister? Ow! Ow, it hurts, Mommy! Yura cried out for her mother, like she always did when things went south. Nansuk's lips turned white, and she was looking like she was about to faint. Let's talk about this, Ji Hyuk. Please let her go. How do I know she won't try something again? Auntie is begging you, please. I'll keep an eye on her, so let her go. You're going to break her arm. Ji Hyuk looked unconvinced, but let Yura's wrist go and backed off. That was a mistake. As soon as Yura was let go, she bolted towards Hugh Yeon and grabbed her hair. Hugh Yeon, you bitch! Ah! Hugh Yeon screamed loudly, but Yura had no idea of the change Hugh Yeon had gone through in the last 10 years. If she had known Hugh Yeon had mastered Taekwondo, Hapkido, Muay Thai, kickboxing, and other forms of martial arts, with the hopes of beating Yura up one day, she might have been more careful. Let go of me, Yura! It hurts! Hugh Yeon flailed her arms and her fists, accidentally landed on Yura's eyes in succession. Yura's vision went black as stars exploded behind her eyes. Pow! Ah! While everyone was focused on her face, Hugh Yeon used the heel of her toe to crush Yura's fourth toe. Ah! Yura screamed in pain, so Hugh Yeon started yelling louder than her. Ow! Ow! My hair's gonna fall out! Let go! Hugh Yeon started snapping at Yura's already powerless fingers that were entangled in her hair. Yura was the one who wanted to let go of Hugh Yeon's hair. Fuck! Ah! Let go! Let go! Hugh Yeon's rock-hard forehead rammed into Yura's nose. There was a loud cracking noise. Yura! Hong Tae and Nansuk were worried to death while Chairman Yu's expression remained the same as before. Ji Hyuk did not try to step in between the two. He realized Hugh Yeon was sneakily beating up Yura. Ow, it hurts so much. Please stop, Yura. You crazy bitch. Gah! Hugh Yeon squealed like a little pig, raised her knee, and grabbed Yura by the back of her head to pull her down. Yura could not even scream. Yura's fingers slipped out of Hugh Yeon's hair before her hands could fall completely. Hugh Yeon took the last opportunity to pretend like she was falling, and she threw Yura to the side. It hurts. Why did you do that, Yura? Hugh Yeon slumped to the floor and wiped away invisible tears with the back of her hands. She looked like she was beaten to a pulp with her messy hair and blood all over her face. Ugh! Yura managed to raise her head and look at Hugh Yeon. Her eyes could barely open halfway, so her vision was limited. She could see Hugh Yeon smearing Yura's blood all over her face as she sobbed loudly. Yura could taste blood in her mouth. Something was rolling around as well. Yura pulled herself up and spit on top of the carpet, two white objects shining among the crimson blood. It was her teeth. Yes, girl. She beat the fuck out of her ass. Yura! Nansuk ended up fainting when she spotted those. Honey! Hong Tae quickly caught and supported her body. Honey, wake up! Hugh Yeon rubbed her uninjured face and cried her eyes out. Ow! Ow! She ripped out my hair! It hurts so bad! The elegant living room turned into a mess. One person had fainted, one was bleeding from their nose and mouth, and another was sobbing with blood smeared on their face. You're the one who hit... A whistling sound came out of the gap between Yura's front teeth. Chairman Yu, who had been silently watching all this unfold, finally opened his mouth to speak. Hugh Yeon stopped her crocodile tears for a moment. This is the first time I built this house. This is the first time since I built this house, he said slowly, that I've seen such a shit show. I'm sorry, grandfather. I should have been more careful. Hu Yan raised her eyes, which were puffy from all her rubbing, and looked up pitifully at Chairman Yu. But still, please don't say you'll cut ties with Uncle Hong Tae. Yura is a bit mean sometimes, but she wasn't always a bad person. Bless me. She continued. What she did to me was in the past. I can forgive her as long as Yura shows remorse. I'll even forgive her for ripping out my hair. Hu Yan gathered the small amount of hair into her hand. I can always grow it out again, but you can't fix a relationship once it's severed. Think of how much you care for Uncle Hong Tae, grandfather. Chairman Yu sighed deeply. Ever since she tried to kill herself, his granddaughter was the only person the almighty Chairman Yu was weak against. So, what do you think I should do? I think social privilege is what's toxic for Yura. Give her a chance to break away from that. She'll change once she helps people and learn to empathize with their pain. Hu Yan looked like a saint as she smiled warmly and held the hair in her hand. Chairman Yu looked at his granddaughter for a long time before turning to Hong Tae and Nan Suk, who had just regained consciousness. Since she's your daughter, you should make the decision, Hong Tae, Hanil said. Will you cut all ties with us? Or will you try to teach Yura a lesson? Hong Tae was extremely grateful that he was given a choice. As an initial investor, Chairman Yu possessed the most stock and shares of Jalil Group. He may have handed over a large number of his shares, but he was still a major shareholder who had influence at shareholder meetings. I will make her a better person no matter what, he said. Please give me a chance, sir. Yura started panicking and resisting. Ow! No, I'm not going back to America. Hong Tae looked at his daughter with a mixture of pity and disgust. I'm not sending you to America. Really? You promise? Sir, Hong Tae dusted off his knees and stood up and gathered his hands together. You said a volunteer organization from UNK's foundation is being sent to Africa, right? Do you think Yura could join them as well? Yura's eyes widened underneath her swollen eyelids. Africa? To Yura, who despised the heat and bugs, Africa was hell on earth. No, Dad. Send me to America, please. Hong Tae did not listen to a word of Yura's pleas and waited for Chairman Yu's approval. What do you think, Ji-hyuk? The chairman asked. Ji-hyuk shook his head at Chairman Yu's question. You don't need to ask for my opinion. I have nothing to do with her. Fine. Chairman Yu tapped the armrest several times with his hand. Send Yura along with the volunteer group that's going abroad. The employees and volunteers there will report back to me on whether she's working diligently. Yes, sir. Hong Tae showed his gratitude by bowing his head until it touched his knees. Nang Suk didn't even have the strength to speak. Thank you, grandfather. Hu Yan smiled brightly and bowed deeply as well. When she looked past her legs behind her, she could see Yura slumped on the ground as if her soul left her body. Hu Yan felt like a weight that had been on her for nearly 10 years had been lifted. Have a good time, Yura. I hope you learn your lesson there. Hu Yan smiled as she recalled how Yura had once screamed her lungs out at a worm that crawled out on the soccer field. Let me just say, Hu Yan beating the shit out of her while acting like she was getting attacked, my new favorite thing. I love it. And I'm so happy she finally got her payback and then some. Beep, beep, beep. The door lock beeped rhythmically. Peng was busy hunting a toy rat before raising his tail. Daddy must be home. Jiwon put down the pink fishing pole with the toy mouse attached and stood up. Ji-hyuk came in through the front door. He looked tired compared to a few hours ago. Jiwon went to him with Pang in her arms and jumped in surprise. "What's that? Is that blood? Are you hurt, Ji-hyuk?" Ji-hyuk's shirt, which had been white on his way out, was stained by something red like it had been scratched. Ji-hyuk discovered the blood stain and frowned. "It is blood, but it's not mine." He did not explain that Hugh Yeon had been laughing hysterically and accidentally got it on him. "Then whose is it? Did you fight someone?" "There was a fight, but I wasn't involved." "Then why do you have blood?" "I'm going to take a shower. Be right back." Ji-hyuk cut through Ji-won's words and ran away into the bathroom. He needed to change desperately. Even if it was just his shirt, he couldn't stand wearing it while someone else's blood was on it. He took off everything he was wearing, threw the shirt in the trash, and headed straight to the shower. Hot water came out of the shower head. The clean shower stall quickly filled with steam. He felt gross. It felt like something dirty was all over him. Ji-hyuk washed his chest where the blood was smeared, over and over again. After cleaning himself more than 3 times with white soap suds, he felt a little better. I feel like our little cinnamon roll, people were saying he's on the spectrum, and not gonna lie, I can kind of see it with that part. I can understand though, because it was blood. But okay. It must have taken him 15 minutes. He waited to clean himself some more, but he wanted to keep cleaning himself more, but he didn't want to keep Ji-won waiting. Ji-hyuk wiped the mirror and checked every inch of his face before finishing his shower with cold water. There was a lot of heat in his body, so this was a habit, like drinking iced coffee in winter. Whew! Ji-hyuk was drying his hair with a white towel when something flashed across his mind that made him stop. The steam was slowly fading away. Ji-hyuk could see himself in the slightly foggy mirror. He was frozen with a white towel in his hand, his chest red from rubbing so hard, and every inch of his body exposed. I didn't bring any clothes. Since he was a major neat freak, his clothes, including all his underwear, were organized in his dressing room. He was in this situation because he was used to showering in his bedroom and walking into the closet naked. He had no clothes, and Ji-won was sitting outside in the living room. Ji-hyuk decided to put a towel around his waist. He came outside to grab the door handle. The dressing room was right next door. Ji-won wouldn't come this way, and the hallway was not visible from the living room couch. I just needed 1 second. All he had to do was dash into the closet and change his clothes. He took a deep breath and squeezed his hand. Finally, he opened the door. Ji-hyuk's foot quickly stepped out into the hallway. He took another step, then another. He was right in front of the dressing room when... Oops. The adorable mouse toy flew to the end of the hallway and rolled away. Ji-won came after it and froze where she was. Well, if that's not a good place to end, it's not. I want to know what happened. But this chapter was so good. That part with Hugh Yeon beating up Yora, still the best, one of the best chapters, other than Jiwon getting back at Sumin and Minwon at that conference. Second best chapter. But let's read some comments. Okay. Thank you for beating Yura up for us, Hugh Yeon. We owe you one. Such a satisfying chapter. I'm rooting for Hugh Yeon, and I'm also rooting for Pang. Your mission, sir, is to get these two together. Oh, I think he's working on it. It's too sad that Yura's story arc wasn't on the webtoon. It would be so satisfying seeing Hugh Yeon beat her up in 4K. It would be. But that's where we're going to end today. The next chapter is Animal Kingdom. Ooh, Animal Kingdom. Okay. What? If you like the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll be right back with chapter 89. See ya. And we're back with chapter 89, Animal Kingdom. While Ji-hyuk was away, Ji-won went to the store to buy Pang a snack. As soon as she laid eyes on the toy, she liked it. It was a long pole that bent easily. On the end of it was a gray mouse toy with colorful feathers and a cute bell attached. It's cute, right? We just got it. The store owner shook the pink fishing pole. It was able to bend easily in a wide direction and made a jingling noise. It was perfect for Pang, whose belly was growing bigger day by day. I'll take it. Ji-won took out her card with no hesitation. It was pretty expensive for a toy, so she didn't think the fishing pole would be so poorly made. The toy mouse flew off only hours after Pang started playing with it. Oops! Ji-won ran after the flying toy mouse, but as soon as she looked inside the corridor, any notion of the toy mouse disappeared from her hand. Jingle! The fishing pole dropped from Ji-won's hand and made a clear sound. Pang took the chance and pounced on it too, aggressively tearing off the remaining feathers on it. I'm being really rude. I need to turn around quickly and get out of here. The rational voice inside her was yelling at her. Of course, there was no point. Ji-hyuk looked like a Greek statue. His hair, which was always neatly styled, was wet and loose on his forehead. His damp eyelashes looked darker between his hair. Before she could think about it, Ji-won's eyes traveled down. He had broad shoulders, a sturdy-looking collarbone, chiseled abs, a risque towel covering the area around his hips, and a sizable silhouette that was visible under the towel. Oh, shit, our boy packing. Okay. What are you looking at? Ji-hyuk asked slowly. Ji-won jumped and spun around. I'm sorry. The fishing pole. I didn't think it broke. And it's fine, but please go back to the living room. Okay. I'll do that. Take your time. Ji-hyuk strolled into his dressing room while Ji-won had her back to him. He looked like he was relaxed, but he was rigid from head to toe. He was able to breathe once the door closed. Did she see? All of it? Ji-hyuk looked at his reflection in the mirror with despair. He didn't think his habit of walking out naked after a cold shower would ever screw him over like this. How am I going to face Ji-won after this? Ji-hyuk sighed loudly and unfolded the towel that was wrapped around his waist. Today, he would need to wear thicker sweatpants. If you're imagining my feet kicking, you may be right. Oh my God, I saw it. Ji-hyuk had been slightly turned away, but the outline showed up through the thin towel was huge. It was impressive that his abs or thighs didn't even register in her mind. It was a big shock to Ji-won, who had only known Minwon from the age of 30 and almost up to 40. Ji-won walked like a robot and sat down on the couch. The silence made it more awkward, so she turned on the TV. An infomercial was saying a miracle glue could put together anything if it was kneaded carefully. Don't worry, try this and add the paste. Then wait for it to dry. An American man was dubbed over by international customers as he made a long paste by kneading the glue. A long paste? Ji-won shook her head to snap out of it and changed the channel. It's big, long, and hard. With this, you can penetrate anything. What kind of drill commercial is this? Ji-won's fingers pressed the channel button rapidly. The channel switched at a neck-breaking speed until it stopped on a peaceful-looking backdrop of a green field. Animal Kingdom was showing two leopards sitting together as they watched the sunset over a wide, verdant field. All right, let's find inner peace. It's not like I saw the whole thing. Jiwon tried to calm her breathing heart and focused on the screen. A familiar voice narrated what was going on. The male waits for the right moment to attempt to mate. The female does not look pleased. Why are they mating all of a sudden? Jiwon was trying to calm her mind, but she ended up dropping the remote in surprise instead. Meow! Pang, who was disappointed that playtime with the fishing pole was over, jumped on the remote right away. No, Pang, give that back. Meow! Meow! As Pang tried to hold on to the remote and Jiwon tried to take it back, the dressing room door opened again. Jiwon raised her head and gave an awkward smile to Ji-hyuk. Are you done? Sorry about before. The female has finally accepted the male. They will soon attempt to mate. Meow! Pang let go of the remote and sneaked away somewhere. Once the leopard goes into heat, they mate for several days with no rest. Today is the first day. Stop mating this instant, Jiwon begged the leopard couple in her mind. She hurriedly pressed the power button. You can keep watching if you want. No, I'm done watching. She really was done watching. She had seen all the parts except for where the towel had censored it. Well, actually, I saw the outline of that part too. Jiwon fanned her hands in front of her red face. It's so hot today. Phew, so hot. Ji-hyuk glanced at the AC that was standing in the corner. On the screen that showed the current temperature, there was a very moderate number of 24 degrees Celsius. He ignored the temperature and made a suggestion instead. How about we drink something refreshing? Is beer good? Whatever is fine. A beer was taken out of the fridge and placed on top of the table in front of the couch. While Ji-hyuk went to grab some snacks on a plate, Jiwon took a sip of the beer and she felt her libido settle down as the ice-cold liquid trickled down her throat. Ah! Jiwon exclaimed as she set the beer can on top of the table. Now my mind feels clear. Your mind? Ji-hyuk opened a can of beer for himself and sat next to her. Jiwon tried to explain her sudden comment that come out. Well, you see, it's been wild these past few days. I was wondering how I'm going to go to work tomorrow. That was true. In the article, it said the heir to UNK Food was an anonymous female manager. But those who knew would recognize who they were. It was a good thing Jiwon didn't have too many co-workers she was close with. Speaking of work, Ji-hyuk spoke plainly as he took a drink out of his beer. I'm going to quit. What? Jiwon felt her heart drop. Even at this moment, everything that was supposed to happen was happening. Unless someone else quit, it was inevitable that Ji-hyuk would. Why? Is it because of me? There are a few reasons. Ji-hyuk thought about it. Ji-hyuk thought about what to talk about for a few moments. Then he said, First off, now the entire company knows that I'm a member of the family that owns it. My subordinates will find me uncomfortable to be around. It'll be okay. They already find you uncomfortable. That was true, but it still stung. Ji-hyuk drank more beer. Also, it's not good for you if I remain at the company. Even if you work hard and get a promotion, using your skills, people will think I had a hand in it. I'm okay with that too. I'm used to people criticizing me or talking behind my back. It doesn't bother me at all. Jiwon spoke unflinchingly. Her words made Ji-hyuk's heart ache. I was going to quit someday anyway. It's just a little sooner than I thought. This was news to Jiwon. Ji-hyuk looked at Jiwon, who was so surprised she forgot to blink. I joined the company under my grandfather's wishes and learned the trade, but I do not wish to inherit UNK. My company is JN, the one I'm running now. Jiwon did not want Ji-hyuk to quit, of course. In the past, he was a gray existence, just like a stranger passing by on the street. He was a young superior who was never late, was cold and fastidious, but still trusted and envied because of his skills. That was all. But things were different now. Ji-hyuk was like a Siberian husky when he worked, but turned into a Labrador retriever when he smiled. Ever since elementary school, everyone had turned their backs on Ji-won because of Suman's lies. Her school friends, her teenage crush, the teachers, and even Eun-ho could not escape Suman's influence. Ji-hyuk was different. He didn't heed any rumors. He only listened to what Ji-won had to say. He trusted and protected her like her dad once had. "I won't quit if you don't want me to, Miss Kang," Ji-hyuk said when Ji-won's face darkened suddenly. Ji-won didn't want that either. "I could never say that." Ji-won chewed on a thin potato chip and swallowed it down with her disappointment. "Everyone has to make their own decisions in life. I don't have the right to stop your decision just because I feel sad about it." She thought perhaps Ji-hyuk felt hurt by her curt answer. It was hard to tell because he didn't let his emotions show on the outside. Ji-won changed the subject quickly. "Anyway, tell me about what happened at your grandfather's place. How did you resolve everything? And why was there blood on you? Whose was it?" "It's a long story." Ji-hyuk decided to reveal his ultimate secret to Ji-won. "Hugh Yeon got blood on me. She beat up that woman who claimed to be my fiancé and hit me a few times because of how happy she was." Now it was Ji-won's turn to ask, "Why did Hugh Yeon do that?" But what came out of Ji-won's mouth was something completely unexpected. Oh my gosh. My nose is running. I need to blow it. Okay. "I guess you really are siblings. You also use your fists sometimes when you get really angry." Ji-hyuk was called out before he could even reveal his ultimate secret himself. He had no idea where she found this out. "How did you know?" he asked. "Wouldn't it be weird if I didn't know?" Ji-won shook her head. "The same last name could be a coincidence. But I signed a contract with Hugh Yeon's mother, remember? Mrs. Juran Cha, the Chinese branch manager." Ji-won thought at the time the name seemed familiar, somehow, and she saw it again on a newspaper column. It was a column introducing manager Juram Cha, the daughter-in-law to UNK's chairman who managed to take over the Chinese market by promoting Korea's premium food. "Oh, and Hugh Yeon said something once in passing," Ji-won said. "She said her grandfather sold tofu and bean sprouts, and that stew is really popular too nowadays." UNK sold all sorts of products, but their signature items were tofu and bean sprouts. They were the first products sold in bulk from UNK's farm and were still the most popular products. "It was pretty obvious you two are siblings. I didn't even think you were hiding it, and it's weird for a close friend to live right next door. It makes more sense to think your parents bought you two houses side by side." "That's not the case, actually. The house you're living in now belongs to Miss Cha, but I bought this house myself." "Why?" "I was worried about Hugh Yeon." Ji-hyuk took the time to explain everything to Ji-won in detail. He told her how Hugh Yeon woke up from a coma after trying to kill herself, how she wanted to live on her own after getting into college, how Ji-hyuk almost couldn't leave his sister alone after she almost died, so he bought the house next door, how he hired a trustworthy guard to protect her, and also how Hugh Yeon got sick of a bodyguard following her all day at school and saved up money to run away to a different place. So GN was created because of Hugh Yeon? Ji-won who was so focused on Ji-hyuk's story, forgot that her beer had got lukewarm. "Yes, that's how it started." "You're surprisingly fond of your sister." "My sister is just a fool." Ji-hyuk corrected her words. They really were brother and sister. "I feel relieved now that I know the truth," Ji-won said. "Even if you're not there at work, I'll have your sister there, and you live right next door, so I'll be all right. It will take at least 3 months to assign a suitable replacement for me and for them to finish training them. I guess we'll just have to walk on eggshells for 3 months." Ji-won lifted the lukewarm beer energetically. "Let's cheers to celebrate a real beginning for us." Ji-hyuk raised his beer with his big hand as well. The 2 cans clinked in the air, and just as Ji-hyuk was about to drink his beer, Meow! Pang hopped down from the back of the sofa and hit Ji-hyuk's hand. The leftover beer fell and spilled all over his pants. Oh my gosh, are you all right? Ji-won jumped in surprise and plucked some tissues to wipe the beer when she stopped in her tracks. What's with today? We know who to... It's Pang, okay? Why did the humongous monster I forced myself to forget have to get wet? Stop it. So that's the end of chapter 89. Lots of sexual tension in this chapter. And I get the Animal Kingdom title. Pang, the MVP, this whole chapter. But let's see some of the comments. Damn, Ji-won got lucky getting a successful man built like a Greek god with a humongous monster who would probably kill for her. They always do. Not the universe encouraging Ji-won to jump Ji-hyuk. Wasn't expecting that to be painted out a lot and wants to be painted out a lot in this one. Yeah, they did. Humongous monster is next level thirst. Okay. I see. Ji-won, he's much bigger and better than that trash X. Not surprising. Don't you see, Ji-won? The gods are sending y'all signs from above. All right. So if you enjoyed the chapter, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll be back with chapter 90, Sister-in-Law. And we're back with chapter 90, Sister-in-Law. I was going to change anyway. Ji-hyuk stood up quickly, and Ji-won's hands hovered aimlessly in the air. The two couldn't stop fidgeting awkwardly while Pang, the real culprit, licked his paw without a care in the world. Silly kitty. Ji-won scolded Pang and tapped his ear. Meow. Pang raised his tail in response and innocently walked over to the corner to sit down. It's so hot. So hot. Why do I feel so hot when the air is cool? Ji-won flapped her shirt as she opened the door to the fridge. The inside of the fridge was more electric than when she saw it before, and she spotted several different types of beer cans. As Ji-won counted the colorful cans one by one, a shadow loomed over her. This is a new release. This one was recommended by the sales clerk. She said it goes down smoothly. I bought this one because I heard it's popular with the ladies. Ji-hyuk's especially low, deep voice was close to Ji-won's ear. She couldn't focus on the beer cans he was pointing at. I'll take whatever. Then Ji-hyuk reached in with his hand and pulled out a can. Let's drink this. Ji-won felt his firm chest touching her back. She flinched in surprise and inhaled loudly. The scent of his body wash, mixed with his natural smell, filled her lungs. Why does he smell so good? Is it because he just took a shower? And were his arms always this thick? Ji-hyuk's hands were so big they made the 500 milliliter beer can look miniature. His thick veins started from the back of his hands and traveled up past his wrist into his tan arms. Miss Kang. Ji-hyuk held the beer in his hands as he lowered his head towards Ji-won's. Now his lips were right next to her ear. Do you need anything else? I do need something. I might. Ji-won swallowed dryly. Something I need? If you don't, I'm going to close the fridge. Oh, right, the fridge. She couldn't believe she was wasting all this energy in a country that produced no oil just because she was horny. Jiwon felt hotter than ever as she turned away. Her view changed from the colorful beer can in the fridge to a white t-shirt that looked like a bumpy snowy hill. You don't have to get married. You don't even have to date either, Yeji had said with a serious expression on her face. But still, a girl can't spend her nights alone forever. You've got to take care of your needs. Maybe this was my chance. While Jiwon was feeling deeply torn, Ji-hyuk wrapped his hand around Jiwon's shoulders to pull her aside and close the fridge. You're going to catch a cold. His voice felt awkward with how slightly slow it sounded. Jiran raised her head a little. As soon as their eyes met, she instinctively realized they were both thinking the same thing. I'm dying to kiss you. Ji-hyuk's voice was low, his hand still on her shoulder. Can I? Instead of answering, Jiwon reached out with both arms and wrapped them around Ji-hyuk's neck. The can of beer he was holding dropped from his hand and rolled away towards the kitchen table. What started out as a careful kissing turned passionate as they let go of all reason. Ji-hyuk wrapped his arms around Jiwon's waist and squeezed tight. She could feel his tense muscles and the huge monster from before close to her body. Startled by the explicit sensation, Jiwon gasped and pushed Ji-hyuk's shoulders away with one hand. Thankfully, he didn't let himself be pushed. He came even closer instead. Heat radiated between the two of them. They were stuck together so tightly together that not even a drop of water could squeeze through. What do we do after this? Realistic questions began surfacing within her dizzy mind. What underwear am I wearing today? Isn't it too early for this? The sun's still up. Should I shower? I was sweaty earlier. Hold on. Jiwon barely came back to her senses and managed to pull her lips away from Ji-hyuk. What is it? The leopard from the show must look just like this when it's hunting. I showered this morning, so... Ji-hyuk lowered his head to the side and buried his face in Jiwon's neck. When she felt his rough breath under her ear, goosebumps traveled down her back. You smell good. I was sweaty before. She felt a different sensation on her neck. Reflectively, Jiwon grabbed Ji-hyuk's arms. Ji-hyuk bit her neck softly so it wouldn't hurt, bringing his lips closer once again to whisper, You taste good too. The lips that had been far apart for too long were on each other again. It felt like the beer she had drank before was bubbling inside her body. Jiwon decided to forget about showering. He said I taste good. We should go to your bedroom. This is what Jiwon, who had a second chance at life, was about to suggest. Beep, beep. Someone was entering the passcode on the door lock. The two bodies that were stuck together quickly put some distance between them. Damn it, that bastard. Jiwon clearly heard Ji-hyuk curse under his breath. Boss, are you home? The person who appeared at the sound of the front door opening was none other than Sinu Kim. Today he was looking casual with a t-shirt instead of his black suit. Pang came out to the entrance with his tail puffed up, yowling. Aw, is our little Pang here to greet me? Ouch! Pang bit Sinu's foot just as he was about to enter the living room. To be honest, Jiwon was satisfied with that. What do you want? Ji-hyuk did not hide the displeasure on his face as he went to see him. Jiwon was the only one who was able to fake a smile. You didn't answer your phone, boss, so I hurried over. Oh, were you here too, Miss Kang? Hello. Sydney was acting all friendly with Jiwon, even though he barely knew her. I thought you were on holiday, Ji-hyuk said. I know, right? Why was I given time off now, of all times, right when something huge like this happens? Sinu looked like a pent-up gorilla banging on his chest with his fists. As your closest subordinate and Miss Kang's friends, the goddess Yeji's man, I could not look over the news. I could not look over this news, so I had to rush over. Congratulations, boss. Thanks. Now get out. Oh, boss, what a joker. Sinu laughed out loud. Then suddenly he took out his phone to take a call. Hello? Yes. I checked. Miss Kang is here too. You can come right over. Ji Hyuk's eyes grew more furious. Who's coming over? All the bros have time on their hands. We decided to throw you a party and celebration. We insist. Sinu had the expression of a proud gorilla as he made another call. Hello? I'd like to place an order. We'll have 3 large sweet and sour pork, spicy fried chicken, chili shrimp, and 5 of the double portion jjangmyeon, 5 of the regular jjangmyeon, and 6 gampong, please. And give us some fried dumplings on the house if you can. Thank you. Not them coming to cock block. At least they're feeding them. The next morning, Jiwon woke up with a fuzzy mind. A lot of people had poured her a glass yesterday, as they called her sister-in-law. The bodyguards at JN really ate and drank a lot. It was a wonder how oblivious they were with Ji Hyuk sitting there, a chill emanating from him. Jiwon woke up slowly and realized that she was in her bed in her room. She was both relieved and disappointed at the same time. What time did I get home? At around midnight, Jiwon almost screamed. When she slowly turned around with wide eyes, Ji Hyuk was sitting up next to her. Did you sleep well? Why are you here? I took you home because you seemed a bit tipsy. Jiwon pulled the covers aside to search for any traces of what happened last night. Unfortunately, the bed was clean. Why did you sleep here then? She asked. Because those jerks are sleeping at my place, Ji Hyuk said. Jiwon suddenly recalled what happened last night. Where are you going? She wished she had just forgotten instead. We got to finish what we started. Was it a dream that she lay on her bed and boldly pulled Ji Hyuk by his wrist? You know, even if you don't get married, you got to take care of your needs. Why did you say that, you fool? Jiwon thought. Come on, lie down. I'll show you a good time. In the end, she didn't show him a good time. The memory ended with Ji Hyuk acting reluctant as he laid down on her bed. Then they went to sleep, just like that. Does your head hurt? She was so thankful that he wasn't bringing up that embarrassing incident last night. She was almost brought to tears. No, I'm okay. You don't feel nauseous? No, I don't. Then let's get ready to go to work. We'll be late if we don't get up now. The clock that Ji Hyuk was pointing at showed a risky time indeed. Jiwon instantly forgot about last night and jumped out of bed like a spring. Why didn't you make me up sooner? You look so beautiful while you were sleeping. This man. How does he manage to say something so embarrassing with a straight face? Even as her mind was racing, Jiwon's face turned red. Stop saying stuff like that and go get ready. I'll be out right after I shower quickly. Take your time. You can write an explanatory statement. I won't. It was the same for Ji Hyuk, but Jiwon had never been late or absent without notice at work. Now that everyone knew about her and Ji Hyuk's relationship, she wanted to be extra careful. The two finished getting ready in a flash and got in the car. Thankfully, there was no traffic, and they arrived on time. Jiwon walked ahead of Ji Hyuk and nonchalantly entered the office. Hello. Miss Kang, good morning. The uneven greetings that were returned sounded awkward. It got even more awkward when Ji Hyuk came in. It was because Ji Hyuk, who usually arrived earlier than anyone, arrived later than Jiwon. No one said a word, but everyone was thinking the same thing. Good morning! If it wasn't for Hugh Yeon energetically swinging her bag as she entered, Jiwon would have continued to feel as if she was sitting on pins and needles. I was almost late today. Made it just in time. Hugh Yeon sat enthusiastically and looked around the office before whispering to Jiwon. Miss Kang, did you see Miss Yang anywhere? Jiwon had been too busy feeling conscious conscious of the other employees, but now she looked closely at the empty seats. One was Minwon's and the other was Joran's. You're right. She's not here, and her bag isn't here either. If she comes in now, she'll be late. That's strange. Should I call her? I'll do it. Jiwon pretended like she was going to the bathroom and went to the hallway with her phone. Even when the call went to voicemail, Joran did not pick up. She's never done this before. Jiwon felt herself growing more and more anxious. She even considered whether Sumin had done something to Joran, who was completely blameless. Right away, she called Joran 5 times. Her call went through on her sixth attempt. Hello? A depressed woman answered the phone. It was hard to imagine this was Joran's voice. Jiwon checked to see if she had the right number and brought her ear back to the phone. Hello, Miss Yang? There was no answer. Miss Yang, is something wrong? Sorry, I'm not feeling well. She's lying. Jiwon's instincts were telling her that. Joran was not someone who would miss work without notice just because she was sick. She would have come to work no matter how sick she was. Even if she had to take a half day, she would have shown up in the morning. Something bad must have happened to her. Are you sure you're okay, Miss Yang? Now that she had thought about it, she didn't notice yesterday because of how wild things were. The only people Jiwon was really close with at work were Hugh Yeon and Joran. She could understand Hugh Yeon not contacting her, but Joran would have called. However, Jiwon's phone had been quiet yesterday. I'm okay. Sorry, Miss Kang, but could you send the report to my computer for approval? I don't need to take a half day off. I'll be right there. So just mark me as late. And my explanatory statement? Joran spoke in a quivering voice before stopping completely. Miss Yang? Hello? Where are you right now? After a long while, Joran struggled to get her words out. Miss Kang, I'm really sorry, but can you please come to me? Uh-oh, this don't sound good. That's the end of chapter 90. I'm so mad that they came and cockblocked them like that. But let's see what some of the comments are. Unfortunately, the bed was clean. Jiwon. Oh my God. That girl is Horny. Yes, she is. I don't blame her. Note to author. All these names that start with J is getting to be too much. When you write a book, you should give each character a distinct... Shut up, Mary. Downvote. I think she found out about her cheating husband. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Pang is smart. Pang is super smart. Oof, I'm scared to see what's going on with Joran, but we shall see. But that is the end of chapter 90, Sister-in-Law, and that's it for this group of chapters. All of these were good. All of these, the past 5-10 chapters have been amazing. And I hope they're only going to get better. But when I do come back, we're going to be starting with Republic of Korea Criminal Code Article 241. I guess we'll find out what that is in chapter 91. But if you've enjoyed me reading, please check out my other videos. I really appreciate it. If you would leave a thumbs up, leave a comment, and if you really enjoyed yourself, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.